S-ranked support. Black or Red Moon. Chapter 1.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the debut episode of the S-Rank Support Podcast, Constant Calibrating's brand new Fire Emblem show. That's right, after spending 2 to 3 hours of podcast time over the last month hijacking every other show on our network, we went and we made what could possibly be a limited series, but it's devoted to Justin and my newfound love of Fire Emblem Three Houses, and maybe expand that from there. But for this debut episode, I am your host, Josh Silverman, joined by my A-Rank co-host, Justin Stanley.
Just A-Rank?
Well, S-Rank is like marriage. I mean, I thought about it. I was thinking to myself, like, is Justin my S-Rank? And I mean, yeah, kind of. Like, you know, you are like my life mate at this point. But, you know, I'm also married. So
It's okay in some religions.
It's
okay. I'll
okay.
take A-Rank.
It's okay mostly. I mean, at the very least, look. It's the episode 1. Maybe over the next few episodes, we'll work our way up that, you know, to a truly an S-rank relationship.
I'll give you some gifts.
Ooh, I like that. I like the sound of that. Can I just like get gifts and just have like these nice tea times with you?
I will, as I awkwardly look at you at every angle I possibly can. Well, 6 angles, and you know, nod and joke. And all that stuff.
And
with
banter
you.
and all that.
Yes,
and
banter.
Banter's a good one. Yeah, no, I think that's a good way. So yeah, for those of you who have been watching the Catch-All podcast the last few weeks, you know we've been discussing a lot of Fire Emblem. And yeah, Justin and I kind of joked about on that show that maybe we should just make something separate, and that's kind of what we're experimenting with here. So this first episode is kind of just going to be an overview, a discussion about our plans and stuff like that. So, and then just some like basic thoughts about Fire Emblem Three Houses, and maybe a little dabbling into the Fire Emblem series thoughts kind of things. So if you've already listened to the Catch-All, this might be a bit of a rehash, but hey, join us on the adventure.
It can turn into something beautiful too. I remember I kind of thinking Fire Emblem book club eventually, but
yeah, I mean, whatever happens with this series right now, just to talk about how excited I am about this podcast, I wrote a 7-episode plan.
Which is already more than we ever had for Armbar.
Yeah, which is more, well, it's more than we ever had for Armbar or Issue Zero podcast. But no, seriously, like, any of our other podcasts, I'm well known for writing out plans while the guest is in the Discord, like chatting with us, and I'm literally frantically pretending that pretending that I'm having a technical issue while I'm just writing out the plan. Like, oh shit, I just realized we don't have any plans for this guest. Like that has happened on at least half a dozen occasions. So
nobody does that. No one else does that.
No. Well, nobody else does that. That's totally not a common thing in the industry. But so the fact that I wrote out a 7-episode plan for this because I wanted to make sure this show made a lot of sense for what our goals are. So right now it's just planned as a 7-episode, 7-week series. If we continue playing Three Houses, which I plan to, we will expand out from there and continue on. But as Justin said, maybe this will just turn into kind of a book clubby thing where we continue discussing Fire Emblem games and meet back up and just discuss that. Who knows what direction, whatever direction it is based on what you guys think of it and how this show builds. So if you're listening to this first podcast and it's already up on iTunes and stuff, please go leave a review, because again, the more attention it gets in the early days, the more love we get in the early days, the more likely we can continue past a point and continue making episodes. That being said, you have no idea what you need to review yet because we haven't started the show.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get so well reviewed that Mr. Nintendo themselves will notice us, and that would be the best, you know?
That'd be pretty awesome. It's not going to happen.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty awesome, though. So let's start things off with just this very simple thing. So, format of the show is just going to be us talking for, I think, like 30, 45 minutes, probably most episodes, unless, you know, maybe some will go a little longer, but that's kind of the plan. Release every single week. And we're just, going to talk about different topics. I know, like, next week we're going to tackle, like, the first 6 chapters of the game and some other thoughts. There's a plan going forward for episodes and for several episodes now, so that's what we're going to be doing. But to start off this episode, Justin, what's your history with Fire Emblem leading up to Three Houses?
Always had interest in the series.
Mm-hmm.
I bought the GameCube version, but didn't play it. And Fire Emblem Three Houses, here we are.
So next. Next, I have a pretty short history. Mine is I never had in my life had heard of Fire Emblem. Like, I think I heard of Fire Emblem in passing when I was a kid. And then the first Smash Brothers has like Marth and Roy in it, right? Or or Melee was the first one to have Fire Emblem characters?
Yes, or was it I don't know, but
I think Marth and Roy are the first two. Anyway, but in any case, I remember
they're taking on most of the roster. They must be a good game.
Exactly. Well, that's kind of the thing. So, whenever they added in Marth, I don't remember exactly when, I was like, this name sounds vaguely familiar, and I think at the time, it was one of those cases where it's like, oh, I think I remember somebody talking about these games in school, maybe? But, I was like, oh, Fire Emblem, cool. But I never really thought much of it. I thought, well, this is like being like the Nintendo fanboy jackass. I was like, well, this is like D tier Nintendo. This is a gimme kind of thing. Like, I was just that asshole, right?
I was that type. Like, I always knew of the series and always really wanted to get into it. The problem is, like, I think it mostly kicked. I know there's the NES version, but
yep.
Don't remember it much on Super Nintendo.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. Again, it was,
and then like Game Boy Advance is kind of where it really popped off at, and I actually, that's one generation of Nintendo products I skipped all that in Virtual Boy.
Okay.
I really wanted a Virtual Boy. So yeah, I just never got into the series. When it came out from DS and 3DS, like I was still at the point that I'm just not really playing my handhelds that much.
Yep.
I just didn't feel like picking them up at the time, and I can't remember why. I was going to jump into the last one, then the whole, like, it's on 3 different game cartridges. Is like, oh, they're doing the Pokemon crap. I don't want to deal with that. And, you know, I saw, like, the special edition had, like, everything with it. I'm like, I want that one, and then, oh, it's sold out. It's like, well, whatever. I'm not going to mess with it. At the end, then Three Houses comes rolling around. I was debating, like, I wasn't even planning to pick it up.
Well, that's what we always talked about in the catch-all. Like, this was our game that we both were like, I really want to play this, but I'm never going to have time to finish this, and I've never been really able to get into a Fire Emblem game, so fuck it.
Yeah, because like it has a whole lot of things that usually turn off of me for like JRPGs in general, and even though I do like Tactics games, but just how they roll out story in Tactics games.
Yeah.
Not all, just most. So. Yeah, and then I was like, screw it, everybody else is playing it. I picked it up, and actually, I was a little turned off at the beginning, because I'm also kind of, like, overwhelmed with it, too. Like, I didn't want to sit there and it's like, oh, this is going to take a lot to learn, and this is going to be a lot I got to put down. There's going to be some studying in this. And honestly, there really wasn't. Like, the game does a pretty good idea of just easing you in and everything. But yeah, I just picked it up, good to go, and like, I can't put it down now.
Yeah, kind of similar situation for me. So I
like it so much that I'm looking at buying Fire Emblem's Warriors.
Wow. Now, if they added DLC from Three Houses to Fire Emblem Warriors, that would be the way that would actually get me to double back. I really wanted to play
the last thing they did is they added DLC from Awakening, but
yeah, that's about all they did from what I remember.
It's like, great, I love Fire Emblem. Who the fuck are these people? Oh, I forgot to say, are we trying to do a what kind of audience are you trying to reach with tea times?
We should probably aim. You know what? That's a good point. We didn't really discuss. We should probably aim for minimal swearing.
Okay, minimal swearing. You can bleep that one out.
I can bleep any of it out. I know how to edit things.
Okay.
I think I'm still aiming for a mature audience because I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, if I played Warriors, it's going to be like, I recognize the people that are in Smash, kind of. And that's as far as it'll go.
Fair enough. Yeah, so I did play Awakening on DS. I don't remember why I wanted to play. I think I literally read something on maybe Kotaku or some other site. I don't remember what site it was. Whatever I was reading at that time or whatever I was glancing at. It could have literally just been Facebook because I wasn't really on Twitter then. Talking about that one of the mechanics of the game was... there was a romance thing, and then also when your people got married in the game, suddenly your child from the future time traveled to the past, and
you make a cable.
Yeah, exactly. You make cable essentially. I was like cable, and I'm like, okay, that sounds like a really cool mechanic, and I was really super into like at that point kickstarting games that allowed me to have children. I don't know why. Charlotte and I had just gotten married at that point, and but I was super into any games that, like, I always loved the idea from like the original Fable games, okay, of continuing like of genealogy and continue on your line. I was super always into that because in like the Fable games kind of jump started that a little bit, and they never really did it well. But like I always liked the idea of your character dying and you just take over the child, and then that character dying and you just take over the child.
Wait, is that who was playing in Fable 2 and 3?
Fable 2. Fable 3, I mean, you're the child of your character in Fable 2. But Fable 2 is so far after Fable 1, there's no direct line from the hero of Oakvale to the hero of Bowerstone.
Oh yeah, Fable 2. My character took the gender bending potion. I totally forgot about that, and that's why I stopped playing that game.
Yep, I remember that.
Nothing wrong playing a female character. It changed everything about my character. My wife doesn't like me anymore. My kid wonders who I am. It's just heartbreaking, so...
I remember you being really depressed about that, actually. For those, by the way, who don't normally watch Constant Calibrating, who don't normally follow Constant Calibrating podcasts and all of our content, we segue sometimes onto weird shit that has nothing to do with the topic at hand. It's going to happen.
So yeah, the Fire Emblem podcast where we talk all about Fable.
You know what? I wouldn't put it past us, in all honesty. But so yes, I played Awakening. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the experience, but it took me about a month, and I think I played like 20 to 25 hours. And what ended up bumming me out about the game was it kept offering me all of these like side quest things, because like you could just endlessly do the exact same mission over and over again, and I became so obsessive about leveling my characters that I actually got bored with it because of that, because I couldn't mentally break the cycle. So I played like 20.
That's where I'm at with Marvel Ultimate Alliance right now.
I feel that as well. But like I said, I did 20, 30 hours of that over a month, moved along. Always wanted to go back to it, just never did. I played... What's the one? It's Birthright and Conquest are the ones on 3DS, right? That was the match set, I believe.
Yeah, wasn't there a third one too? That was
it's like Revelation or something like that. So only Birthright and Conquest are available as cartridges, and then like I think it's called Revelation was available as like downloadable content,
unless you got the special edition.
Unless you, well, yeah. So in any case, the way it worked was you bought Birthright. In my case, I bought Birthright again over about a month. I played about close to 30 hours of the game. I very much enjoyed it, and then I thought, you know what? I'm loving this game so much, I'm gonna buy the DLC. The DLC was you buy digitally for a cheaper price, I think like $20. You buy if you have Birthright, you buy Conquest, and that essentially adds it that you could play both off of the same cartridge. And then I thought, you know what? I'm obviously going to finish both of these, so I'm going to pick up Revelations, which you can't even play Revelations until you have clear data for both Birthright and Conquest. So I picked that up as well. And this is not a joke. So $40, picked up both of the extended things for the game, 30 hours into Birthright, and you know what happened? Literally never turned the game on again.
That sounds like a Josh move.
If I remember right, I had been playing a lot during this New York trip with Charnel Roran and my dad and his husband, and like I had such a bad experience with my dad during that trip that I think I somewhere in the back of my mind like associated Fire Emblem, like that particular game with that. So like I think I just couldn't play the game anymore, because even though it wasn't a conscious thing, I always thought about that. Like still right now when I think about that game, I think about that trip. So I think I may have just unintentionally just created a trigger, with it that I couldn't bypass.
No, I completely understand that.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of what happened there. So never touched anything Fire Emblem again. I know there was another 3DS game that came out. Never even thought about touching Fire Emblem again, but then this came out. And here I am. I now haven't played the game in like 4 days, but because in less than 3 weeks, I played 80 hours of Three Houses.
Yeah.
And cleared the Black the Black Eagle route. And yeah, so long story short, I love Fire Emblem, Three Houses. I actually have now full intent. I fully intend to finish all the stories of Three Houses. I love the game that much, and I intend to at some point, particularly if this podcast does well, double back and start touching the old games.
Yeah, I like to do that. And God, I really want to play, I do and I don't want to play Black Eagles again, because I want to see how different things could be. Like, I even mentioned, like, if you take away one character, that seems key. How much it would change? Because I'm really curious how well that is designed, or is it just like, oh, they just don't talk right here? But there's some characters that like they're heavily in the plot, but they can also die. So I'm really kind of curious. But at the same time, that was my choices during that playthrough. I don't know if I'm gonna experience it any other way.
Yeah,
but yeah, for full reference, like I'm still playing through the Black Eagles. I think I'm roughly 60 hours in, and I think I'm at the last fight. I'm not sure. But yeah, no, we talked about it. I am at the last fight.
Based on what you've said, you are in the last fight right now.
The battle. Probably a more better word.
I think I only was so much further ahead hours-wise because I didn't want to do story stuff while I was like editing podcasts, but I needed something to distract my distract my brain from like strictly editing a podcast, because a lot of the way I edit shows, particularly just looking at the Catch-All podcast, is I don't really cut stuff. I don't unless there's like loud noises on one of our ends or there is some major interference. I tend to leave everything in, at least that particular show, because
that's how that show's made, though.
Yeah, it was just because we put so much production into our stream content, there's just no need for me to really add a lot of stuff. Maybe I'll do a zoom in here thing, zoom in there thing. So mostly I just listen to the episode and then I need something to do. So I chose to play a lot of Three Houses because what I could do is I could just I would make sure that I was at a point where I wasn't doing the battles in the game, and I would just do the free battle, because I wasn't playing on the hardest difficulty. I was playing with like the normal difficulty.
Yeah, I too.
And during that, you can just keep choosing to battle, do the same no point battle. So I just freaking did that over and over and over again for like an entire hour and 30-minute podcast. And all of my characters were grossly over leveled. I
was supposed to say, when you ended the game, what level were you?
Range. Byleth was. So I named my character Cordis, by the way, but since that is a meaningless thing, every playthrough moving forward, I'm just going to name my character Byleth. It's just easier. But so By was, I want to say 51.
Oof. Okay.
And my average range of characters, my main team, everyone except for one person, I believe, was 43 plus.
Gotcha. So I'm about there.
With one person in the late 30s.
Yeah, I got all my people. Well, granted, I don't think I recruited as many, but we'll get through that later. But yeah, all my characters are at least above 40. I got a few above 45, counting Byleth. I think he's more 47. And then the rest are kind of like just between 40 and 45. Yeah,
I mean, it's a good place to be for that. Yeah, I was essentially, and then also on top of that, like, yeah, there was a lot of mastered ranks and stuff. I think we're going to talk about that more when we get to that point in the show, like our finalizing thoughts on our first run-throughs. But yeah, it was an interesting experience, but like, I don't know what it is. I've been trying to figure out, just with like this my thoughts to go into this game. What do you think it is? What do you think it was about Three Houses that finally made Fire Emblem click for you? Because we talked about the fact, so you decided kind of just to buy the game because at the last minute, because, all right, I'm just interested enough. And I decided to buy the game at the last minute because my wife literally just said to me, oh, go buy the anime Harry Potter game. I was already in the plans of just canceling it because we didn't have a lot of money, and I thought at that point for like that kind of purchase, we didn't have budget for it. I was just like, I'm just gonna let this fall by the wayside.
I really don't know, to be honest, because like everything it does well. Because if you break everything apart, it's a pretty damn simple game, almost.
Oh, super.
But I don't know. They did such a. Also, they did such a good job of presentation and everything. Even though most of the scenes are just a static background, like even the flames of the candles are like frozen. And two characters over it with some borders.
Oh, it's not even just that, but like when you're in the support scenes, it's not just that. There's also a weird quasi fisheye effect. So like, you notice it most when they're in like a scene when there's like a cafeteria, kind of like tables around, where like the tables literally are like this. Like they bend at an angle, and they're like, it's like that almost. For the audio listeners, it's like they come down to like a triangle, kind of like very awkwardly. Like it does not look great.
Sometimes I'm playing the game, it's like, is the lips moving or is it not? I can't tell.
I can't tell half the time.
But yeah, it's just I don't know if maybe just the characters, like at least in the Black Eagle House, they're just so they're like off-putting when you start, but like very quickly like start to grow on you. Every single one of them.
That's the amazing thing for me. I'm really wondering what that's gonna be like with like when I do my Blue Lions playthrough. That's my next planned one. I'm just trying to think. Like, I wonder if it's gonna be like because when I first started out, I was a couple of hours into my choices of the Black Eagles, and I was just like, it was maybe 2 hours, and I'm like, ugh, I think I'm just gonna go with the Golden Deer, like most of the rest of the people I know, because I sort of kind of like Petra and maybe Hubert, but like I overall hate every one of these characters, and I don't want anything to do with them. And then by the end of my playthrough, I was like, I would die for Petra and for Bernie and for Linhardt and for Caspar. Like the only character I wasn't like monstrously huge of a fan of by the end of my Black Eagles playthrough of like the people in the house was probably Hubert. Was like the lowest on my list, but not even really like, but I still like liked him. Meanwhile, all of the people I brought into my house, I think, because I recruited everyone, save one person. I didn't realize until much later there was a way to recruit. But I recruited everyone, and aside from
I screwed that part up. I only got one person on my team. One person afterwards decided to join.
There's the decide the joiners.
And that's it. Oh no! Wait, no! I got 3 more too, because I got the 2 instructors and
the instructors are pretty easy to get. So you should definitely get them. Yeah, no, for me it was outside of my house, outside the Black Eagles, Felix, Ingrid, and Lawrence. I'm definitely a big fan of, and kind of Ash a little bit, but otherwise, like I actively hate most of the other people that I recruited into the house. So I'm wondering, like, so again, started off Black Eagles not liking the characters, thought I made a bad choice, was considering switching, and then fell in love with the characters. I'm wondering if that's going to happen with the Blue Lions or even the Golden Deer on a following playthrough, where it's just like, I hated these characters when they were not my students, you know? Exactly. But now maybe, if I'm actually seeing more cutscenes with them, am I going to feel better about them? So I'm really wondering how that dynamic's going to work. But I agree with you. It's the characters. It's my kids. Yeah, the story presentation, or how they handle the story, it's really like intriguing writing. Really keeps you going, and just, I don't know, like the dynamic between the characters. Everybody has their own personality. Even through the voice actors are definitely putting their spins on it. Where I don't know, like it's just like, you know, watching a good anime or something like that, man. Well, I know that, like, if I'm tired, I'll usually just read the dialogue a lot of the time and just kind of just go through support stuff quickly. But like, there's certain characters like Dorothea, Petra, a few others where I'm just like, the voice actors. I mean, the voice actors overall, to be clear, I don't think there's a bad voice acting in this game. We're not talking about like a DJ playing Sub-Zero here. Kind of like, there's nothing like that in this game. Like, all the voice actors are at worst really damn good in this game. But specifically Dorothea and Petra, I just loved. I know Allegra Clark plays Dorothea. Actually, Shamir as well, who I think is also Allegra Clark. I just liked listening to their voices. Yeah, except, I mean, Byleth doesn't speak that much, but I wonder how that changes as it'll come along. Yeah, well, it doesn't speak as much. I know that, because they, as of right now, it hasn't been implemented yet, but they fired Male Byleth from the game after the fact, and they are completely recording all new lines. To my knowledge, don't believe that has been implemented yet. No. As of the middle of August. Download for that. Yeah, there's supposed to be like a free patch or download for the game for that. Yeah, I mean, I imagine that's going to primarily that's just going to change the grunts and groans, the death, speech, because I've had Byleth. Did you know it's actually possible for Byleth to die? I know he's a demigod, but I actually did have my Byleth die twice in the game. Oof, no. Yeah, again, we'll talk more. I'll go with more details in a later thing with my leveling strategy. My leveling strategy, the very basic version, is if I want someone to learn a class, I give them a knowledge gem and I just warp them into the middle of the battle and just let them deal with stuff. I decided to do that in the final battle of the game.
Okay, yeah.
It was not a smart decision. I don't remember. There was a reason I did it in the final battle. I just don't remember exactly what it was. Turned to be a very, very bad idea. So yeah, but let's circle back on like how the game is like super simple and stuff like that. That's the thing, is like the gameplay loop of this game, Fire Emblems in general, but even like this Fire Emblem, it's like such a simple gameplay loop. It's honestly
that
like
might be it. It probably is the gameplay loop that keeps becoming. It's like it's simple as well. Well, it's a good loop. It's a great loop. That's why I played Metal Gear Solid 5 so long, because it's a good gameplay loop to it.
Well, that's something we talked about a little bit in a Constant Calibrating episode a few weeks back with Hunter Bond. We were talking about feature creep and how we kind of want to do an episode specifically about that. But like a lot of games have this thing where like or scope creep, that's what it was, where you just games take so long you continuously add stuff to it. I think this game does a very good job of they just kept their scope kind of very limited. This is your gameplay loop. This is the story beats we're gonna hit. And yeah, you're just gonna do the same thing over and over again, but essentially what they did is they took a very simple formula, but what they did is made it extremely well.
Yeah.
And it works because, again, I have now not played the game in about 4-ish days, and I have sincerely not gone longer than 30 minutes without thinking about the game since then. Yeah,
pretty much. And that was also something else that originally turned me off the game, too. Because usually games like that, Persona, God, I even thought about this for Majora's Mask. That's why I haven't played it forever, or played it when it came out, or finished it through. Anything that seems like it has like except Majora's Mask is completely different. But anything that seems like there's a time limit, and you can mess stuff up, and you can't go back and fix it. I'm like, I don't know if I want to mess with that.
I have enough anxiety maintaining a calendar in my real life. Do I really want to maintain a calendar in a fucking video game?
Exactly. So, but again, Fire Emblem does it really well.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is, when I first started the game, I think the first 2 months of playing it, I was not just heavily relying, because the game has that feature, if you're connected to online, where it tells you the percentage of people who've done stuff. I didn't want to totally rely on that because, the game had been out for like less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
So who the hell knew what was the right thing to do? So like literally 24, like on my first month, I'm like researching like, what's the best tips for Fire Emblem? How should I do stuff? How should I do this? Because I'm so panicking. But by like month 4 or 5, like, I had the rhythm down perfectly. I knew exactly when the best time to explore is. Personally, I found seminars to be almost completely and utterly useless.
Yep.
That feature, I never quite understood until pretty much the very end of the game, when it just became, okay, all of my people are overpowered demigods, and I have no reason to explore right now. I've literally run out of battles to do. So, and I'm just going to do seminars to just boost a few key skills and see if I can get some people into a class. So it's like the seminars, I think, is like the one weak point for me in the game. But like still, like I knew when to explore. You explore on the first day of the month. I knew when to do battles if there's special battles, and I knew to explore again as needed, and and to rest maybe twice in the whole entire game.
I think I only rested once in the entire game. That's it.
I rested once because literally it was the final day of a month, and there was nothing special going on at the monastery, so no reason to explore, and I'd already explored once. The only battles I had available to me were just the 1 point battle, and I had 3 battle points. I'm like, I have to do 3 battles to get through this, and there's no special things. All my characters are highly leveled, and then also I couldn't come up with a reason to do a seminar. And then I'm like, all right. And then the Sword of Creator is like, I think it has like 5 hits left in it. Not that I ever use it. So I guess I'll rest. Like that was kind of what I just decided.
See, even for that, like it kind of came mute point, because you can actually just repair the sword if you really want to.
Yeah, I know. It was expensive. So
yeah,
I think the reason I did it that one time, the rest was also just because I had one more instruction thing of the month, and I thought, well, let's just boost everyone's motivation just a little bit, just so
it does that too, which is also nice. That's kind of like what I did it after I realized it actually does that.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'll change my strategy up on future playthroughs, how exactly I do things. Let
me ask you this, like, will playing this Fire Emblem actually ruin trying to go back and do other ones, or you think it's going to enhance it?
That's the thing, because it's very different of an experience. The way you train people, the way you do stuff. Previous Fire Emblems, unless I am misremembering something very heavily, previous Fire Emblems were all about like the only way to level skills were to actively use skills. I think there were some training things you could do, but for the most part, it was just use the skill, do the thing. There was so that you didn't get like these little bonuses of training things. So, I think I will go back because I think one of the other reasons I never enjoyed the previous Fire Emblems is I played them on casual mode, so no permadeath. I think that was one of the key things missing for the game for me. So I think moving forward, I will play Fire Emblems on like classic mode, even though there's no like divine pulse mechanic. I will do that. I'll spend time on it. So I don't think it's gonna ruin it for me. I think it'll just be interesting to get the different experience. Plus, also this game doesn't have everyone can romance everyone features, and it doesn't have kids, which I never really got to dabble that much previously.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think also this game broke my interest in min-maxing characters, which. Because the previous Fire Emblems I would play, and I'm like, all of my characters can literally one-shot everything they come across in the entire game, but am I playing them right? And then I would like, and I would read something online that stated like, oh no, this character, they're actually supposed to be a Falcon Knight or some shit, and I'm like, I wasn't gearing them in that direction at all. I've ruined my entire game by trying to make them into a dancer. I don't know. I can't think of it. But no, that would go into the anxiety of these type of games. That kind of was originally turning me off of it. Yeah. But Three Houses, it don't matter shit. There are recommended ways. People have budding talents. They have all these different things. Like there's a recommended path to go on. But if you literally just want, and there's like recommended compositions of teams, but it doesn't matter for shit. Like literally, most of these games, because you have 10 people for the most missions, you should have, 2 tankier characters, 2 archers, 2 DPS melees. You should have a nice composition of things. I ended up at one point in the game where I should also have multiple priests, right? I ended at one point where I had Linhardt as my priest. I had 6 mages / dark mages.
That's all you need.
And I literally, because I made Edelgard a freaking mage at one point. Like every one on my team was a goddamn mage. And they weren't, but like all of my mages like had such stupidly high avoidance that it didn't matter for shit. Like they were all like, everyone was absolutely ridiculous on my team. Like there was no logic behind it. So I think this game broke me of that, where I'm just like, all right, I can play.
You
this.
like see the biggest thing go attack him, and you just like shake your head, like that's not gonna work well for you.
No, yeah, my favorite thing always was just like watching.
Oh, you went after my healer. Oh, you went. That's a cute move. You're gonna die.
No, that was my favorite thing when people would go after Linhardt, because Linhardt, I would usually do a really good job keeping him out of the fray, but sometimes people would go after him, and he would just one-shot things anyways, because I had him, S+ or S level faith, but he also had reason at like A+. So like he would still just absolutely demolish anything that came near him. Like so to minimize the point I was just trying to say, like I'm not worried anymore about my obsession with trying to make the best team to do things. I'm pretty sure I can now play a Fire Emblem game just for fun without worrying about am I doing it the right way.
Now, saying that about Fire Emblem, are you interested to jump in other games kind of like Three Houses?
Examples.
I'm pointing at Persona.
I mean, I bought Persona 5. So I've always wanted to play the Persona games. I literally once almost bought, I didn't want to get a Vita because I couldn't find a good deal on one, but I almost bought a PlayStation.
My God.
But I almost bought a PlayStation TV to play Persona 4 Golden, I think it was, right?
I was going to say, I was just going to be very proud if you did. But
I almost bought a PlayStation TV. I almost bought a Vita too for this purpose, because I kept hearing, I don't remember who it was. I think I listened to Rooster Teeth podcast stuff back then, and I would always hear Carrie Shawcross talk so much stuff about Persona 4, and I was like, okay, that's interesting, but I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to wait for this Persona 5 game to come out. And I didn't play it first. I picked it up for like $20. I see the Vita. I see the child. I picked up Persona 5 for PS4 for like $20, and it's been sitting there for the longest time. I keep talking to people about how I want to go play it. I think this game actually finally encouraged me to play it. Because while you were worried about Three Houses because of the anxiety of the school system and stuff like that, like games in Persona, making you feel like you're just not doing things properly. While I get the same anxiety, that's also the number one reason I was interested in Persona, because I remember loving the school system, even as mild as it was. I loved the school system mechanic of Bully years ago.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, my favorite part about Bully, I couldn't stand the open world aspect of Bully. I loved the classes. Like, I've always wanted a game where I'm just like a proper student at school, and maybe some crazy shit's going on. What's up?
It's like, I kind of do too, even though I hated school.
Well, I think that's why. I hated school, but I was really good at specific things. I just didn't like the system of school, so I always wanted to play a video game where, like, the system was what I made of it, but also fantasy shit's going on. So, long story short, Persona 5, I'm very interested in. I'm just now in that debating, do I just play the version of Persona I own, or do I wait for the Royal one to come out? Or do I wait to see if it's coming out on Switch? You know what I mean? Like, what do I do here?
God, I have to. That's what I'm waiting for. I think that'll probably get me back into Persona 5. Because I have it on PS4. I started it. I was enjoying when I was playing, but something else came out, and...
Yeah. Well, that's my problem. When something else comes out and I'm playing a game on PC, PS4, or the occasional Xbox game, something else comes out, I don't go back to the game on those systems. When something else comes out and I'm playing something on Switch, I always come back to the Switch games because of the nature of the handheld versus console mode. I can always come back.
Yeah, and also, like, hearing how long Persona 5 was also kept me away from it. Like, in Fire Emblem Three Houses, it's lengthy, but I didn't know that going into it, and it already had its hooks in me. After listening, like, to Andrew Garfield. I was going to say Garfett, but that's his Twitter handle. Anyways, like, how many times he's played through Persona and how long each playthrough was, I'm like, you're a crazy man, but now I don't want to play it. I don't want to, like, commit that much time to it just for something else to pop up and have to drop off it, so...
Well, here's the thing. I think that Fire Emblem Three Houses has encouraged me in that regard, because I was the person who was like, I'm done with JRPGs. I'm done with most RPGs.
Did I call you Andrew Garfield? Sorry. It's Andrew Goldfarb.
Yeah,
it's not Spider-Man.
I was like, I'm like, I think I know this guy's name, but Justin knows more about these people than I do, so I'm just going to let
former IGN, now at, I think he's not in Insomniac. He's at, superheroes stuff. Sucker Punch. Yes. Just raise that.
Anyways, welcome to the Andrew Goldfarb Appreciation Podcast.
Everybody should appreciate Andrew Goldfarb. He's a wonderful human being. Anyways, keep going.
So my thought was that JRPGs, things of that nature, I'm like, I am a father of two. I don't really have a lot of time to play games. There's no way I can play these lengthy 80-plus hour games anymore. And that was the main reason I honestly did almost cancel Three Houses, because, again, the previous two Fire Emblems I played, which I only had one kid at that time, were 60 hours, each one over... So 60 hours over a grand total between the two of them of about 2 months. So I'm like,
come on, man, the grandparenting Switch plan doesn't work? You just put your kid to sleep on you can play it just leisurely?
I never did that. That never worked with either of my children. I never was able to manage to play video games with the kid sleeping on my chest with a baby, with either of them as babies. I don't know. It never worked for me.
I was like, whoever could do that has just looked out.
Yeah. I know that there's a lot of parents who have figured out how to do that, but I don't know. Maybe I'm too twitchy, maybe something like that. I couldn't do that. But so anyways, I thought, like, so my time with these kind of games are done. There's no way I'm going to play Three Houses for any length of time. And here I am. I played the game for 80 hours across a little less than 3 weeks, and with the intent of doing that again at least 2 more times. So this game has also shown me maybe I could just play Persona 5, because apparently if I get into a game, apparently it wasn't my lack of time that was stopping me from playing these games. It was my lack of actual interest in the games. So maybe I just need to stop being obsessed with playing everything, and I need to just find the games that I actually am interested in.
Get that too, but no, it's going to be a time issue for me, but I found a better way to use my time, especially at work, because I get a nice hour lunch. It does not take me long to eat lunch since I brought my lunch now, and in a cool 15 minutes to play games, so...
I mean, you got to make use of time. How you can make use of time, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Now I'm kind of confused. Well, we'll see how this goes, because I mean, games are starting to pop out like crazy. Control's coming out really soon. I'm super interested in that. This is not the catch-all podcast, so more about Fire Emblem.
Yeah, no, so we'll talk about more on other shows. But yeah, so that's kind of like, I think we've talked for a while now. We've gone like a great deal about Fire Emblem and then like its influences on us and then things it's influenced us to do. I think that's kind of what we wanted to focus on with this episode. So yeah, any final thoughts on just like the early pre-Fire Emblem actual game stuff? Thoughts that you want to get out?
No, I think we pretty much covered it all. Like, I can't think of anything else to add to it. As far as like my experience with Fire Emblem besides Three Houses, that's pretty much it. Yeah,
so this has been episode 1 of the Fire Emblem of the S rank support podcast, our Fire Emblem podcast. Next episode, we're going to delve into our story experiences through roughly the first 6 chapters of the Black Eagle storyline. Talk house choices, characters loved, character hated. Some of the stuff we dabbled in on this episode will go a little further. And then, kind of just delve a little more into what captivated us about this game. That's going to be the next episode. Thank you all for joining us this week. The S-Rank Support Podcast will be released every week on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you find podcasts. As of this first episode, it's probably not in all those locations, but it will be. Just takes time to, make its way out. We are on Facebook at Facebook. Well, Constant Calibrating is on Facebook at facebook.com/Constant Calibrating. Twitter's at ConCalPod. I'm at Bear Punch, and Justin is at Justin_Glorious. Check. You can check the Constant Calibrating Instagram out at Instagram.com/Constant Calibrating. Come chat with us on our Discord at ConstantCalibrating.com/Discord. Funny enough, not a lot of Fire Emblem stuff going on in that Discord. It's kind of surprising, but also I think Justin and I are the only ones in the team, and I think possibly in our entire community who are this into Fire Emblem. So it's not really popped off in there. So come put some Fire Emblem stuff in that there Discord. As always, please leave us a review on iTunes and wherever else you may find this show. The first month of a show, as you may know, or maybe you don't know, but the first month of a show like this, it's key time to boost reviews, because then through algorithms and all that fun stuff, it gets in front of more people. That first 48 days, you'd be surprised how important it is to get those reviews. So if you enjoy the show, drop us those 5-star reviews, and let's keep chatting more Fire Emblem. And with that, thank you for this perfect tea time.